Federal and state government leaders in Australia have agreed to immediately overhaul national gun control laws after a deadly mass shooting at a Hanukkah celebration at Sydney's Bondi Beach.
For the latest on this, we're joined live this morning by CTV's Scott Hurst. Scott, let's get an update first on this horrific shooting at Bondi Beach in Australia. What are the latest numbers now?
Good morning, Nick and Jen. Incredibly tragic. As you mentioned, of course, this targeting a Jewish holiday celebration, the terrible attack, the tragic attack, really overshadowing the start of Hanukkah celebrations there in Australia, of course, around the world, and here in Canada. Now, specifics about the attack. What we do know is that the gunman opened fire on Australia's famous Bondi Beach, killing at least 15 people and now wounding at least 42 at this point. Among the dead, a rabbi and a child. Those killed range in age between 10 and 87 years old. In a statement, Prime Minister Mark Carney denounced what he calls a horrific anti-Semitic terror attack and pledged to stand together with the Jewish people at a menorah lighting in Ottawa last night. Here's more from the Prime Minister.
This is about taking the light and spreading it today across our country and through generations, so that this is the last generation that has to struggle against hate.
And this tragedy hits close to home for at least one family in the Toronto area, as CTV News spoke with the stepniece of a victim in the mass shooting. Here's what she had to say.
He was just full of life, positivity. It was his mission to bring the light of Judaism into the world. And he did that up until the moment that he tragically was killed. And yeah, he was just an amazing, amazing individual who, as my mom said today, didn't have a bad bone in his body, was just an extremely positive and kind individual.
And Nick and Jen, as a memorial continues to grow, Australian authorities say they will do everything in their power to get to the bottom of this terrible incident.
Yeah, and Scott, are we learning anything more about the two gunmen who were, supposedly father and son duo? What's been the reaction to that and also this horrific attack?
There's still a lot more that needs to be learned about the father and son duo, but as you mentioned, the gunmen are in fact a 50-year-old father who was killed and a 24-year-old Australian-born son who was shot and wounded and is being treated in hospital. According to Australian authorities, the father was an Australian resident who had lived there for several decades, originally arriving in 1988 on a student visa. The son, according to Australia's main domestic spy agency, had been investigated by the intelligence agency in 2019. According to local reports, it had to do with the son's ties to a Sydney-based Islamic State group cell. And so that is what we're beginning to learn about the father and son, as Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese is calling it an act of anti-Semitic terror. And this comes at a time where Australia is seeing a significant rise in anti-Semitic incidents, a wave of anti-Semitic attacks that have gripped the country in recent months and several years, seeing a significant rise in vandalism, assaults, threats, and intimidation against the Jewish community.
Okay, we'll see what else is to come from that investigation. CTV's Scott Hurst joining us live this morning. Scott, appreciate the update. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
And we also spoke with CTV News' public safety analyst and former OPP Commissioner Chris Lewis about this investigation.
Besides the unbelievable tragedy it is and on an ongoing basis there, the investigation is going to be really focused on them and the motivation for the attack. Their backgrounds, who are they associated with? What groups are they associated with? What's their social media presence? What have they said to people recently? And their writings and on and on and on. Because to have a father-son is very rare. I haven't seen a lot of that over the years. Ultimately, focus on the Jewish community. What was the rationale for that?
Police say they're monitoring the events in Australia and that there will be an increased police presence not only in the city, but of course the wider GTA as well.